Jack, you're on mute. The host is on mute.
I'll tell you, this technology is just defeating me every time I get on since we changed it. Hello, everyone. Thank you. I am Jack H. I am your host from the United States of America for Lads It's Tottenham, the YouTube show that you've all been waiting for since the dominating performance in Manchester. And we have, of course, a global audience, I'm sure, as well as a global panel. We have Matt, a very tired but enthusiastic Matt from the Midlands. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm fine, mate. Sorry if I look a bit rough. I am feeling a little bit rough, but I always like to come on after we've scored 4 goals and won a game. So, I'm just glad Angie's game plan went better than the intro to that show, mate. But looking forward to getting into it.
And I think that's an accurate description of it so far. And Dave, thank you for filling in at the last minute. Wonderful to have, as we call it here in America, a pinch hitter to come in on the last minute to come to the plate and step up for an absent guest. Thank you very much. How's it down under today?
Oh, I am fit. I'm on Planet Smug because for the first time ever, I think I did the preview show and the review show, and some of the things I said turned out to be correct. So as they say, a clock is right twice an hour.
Oh, so this is going to be a very long hour for us, it sounds like.
It's going to be a smug fest of utter happiness.
Some people might say you live on Planet Smug.
so a lot of people have. I'm either a grumpy sod or a smug git. I can't win. But hello.
Absolutely. And James, I assume you're somewhere on the South Coast hanging out, joining us?
Always. Where else would I be? I mean,
where else would you be?
I'd be in the West Indies with a new face and a different name. That's the only place I'd be. But yeah, great to be on. Love chatting about Spurs. Love complaining. Love having a few of these. So I'm grand. Thanks for having me on.
Fantastic. Well, tell you what. So since we are, more than 2 days from the game, I don't think that we need to go through a minute by minute, blow by blow of the entire match. I think people have probably had their opportunity to see the highlights, rewatch the game, watch a lot of other shows, podcasts, and the like. So I don't know that we'll do that, but I think that we use this game as a discussion point as to whether or not we all agree that the performances have been a little bit erratic. I think that could be fair, right? That we don't know what Tottenham we're going to get. The question I'd like the discussion to be, at least for the first half, is this jagged line up and to the right? Are we actually making progress, if you think about it that way? Or are we just going to continue to see this constant situation where we can beat anyone and lose to anyone and repeatedly do so this season? So I think that's kind of a good jumping off point for the game. And I think one of my questions I have for you, Dave, is I think the lineup, we all were pretty sure what the lineup was going to be, but yet I think Ann surprised both of us. Now, maybe I didn't see the preview show, so you might have called this, but I was not expecting Decky to go out on the right and Madison to come into the midfield. We all expected that, this was a game that definitely lines up for the dynamic Welshman to play on the right, because we should have a lot of space to play in behind, and that's really part of what makes him a good footballer. But no, he kept him on the bench and put Decky out there, who largely didn't stay exactly on the right wing all the time, but it certainly changed the dynamic of the team. How surprised were you about that? And were you actually alarmed, or are you excited about that lineup when you saw it?
I was on Planet Smug for the first time when I saw that Kulu was playing on the right, because in the games against the big boys away from home, I like him on the right then. So I said, stick him on the right. I'd have played Gray, Biss, and who was the other one? And Sarr. I wasn't expecting Madders, but Kulu on the right. Obviously, HG was happy with the fact that Johnson was not in the starting lineup. So I said, no, let's have Kulu on the right. He stretches the play. Lots of running, provide a bit more protection to Porro. So we didn't think he would do it, but that's what I predicted. That was my first prediction, and very happy with that. And he had a fantastic game. I'm a little bit worried that Pep's fluttering his eyelashes in the direction of Decky, but let's enjoy the moment.
Right. Well, we're going to come to Decky too. We're spend a little time specifically on Decky. James, so there's been a lot of discussion, and I've been one of them who have seen the performances where both Decky and Madison are in the team at the same time, and it often doesn't work because while they're usually playing, the eights, but they seem to get in each other's way, so to speak. They tend to not play well together. But now that pushing Decky out wide, bringing Madison in, that clearly seemed to create the space that Madison needed, and he was pretty much all over the place. And so my question is, do you think that is a formula we're going to see repeated as an alternative, not formation, but the way we attack in putting Decky out there on the right and bringing Johnson off the bench? Do you expect that to be more common going forward? Or do you think this is just, we're playing Man City away and this is a combination just for that match?
I mean, maybe. In particular against City like to build up their attacking play with two defensive pivots in a sense in their passing kind of structure, and Kulu is very, very good. I mean, he is, without hyperbole, the closest player I've ever seen to Kevin De Bruyne in recent times. He is ridiculously world class. I don't know why Juventus sold him to us, so cheers Juve, but yeah, maybe. I mean, the thing is, Ange loves Brennan Johnson. In any game other than City or Liverpool or maybe the scum, he wants Brennan on the right. And to be fair, in the end of the game, we saw why he likes Brennan Johnson, because he's going to be at the back post, and if there's a cross, he's going to tap it in. Can't really argue with that, and he's our top scorer. But and to be fair, if you watch Wales Iceland, you also saw why Brennan Johnson's great. But
I saw that.
There's certain situational times where it's Kulu and Madison work really well, especially with Kulu out on the right, him cutting inside. He's very good at pressing. He's very good at closing down players, and his work rate's ridiculously good. But I think it's a little bit situational. I mean, it's certainly to Ange, I think, says, hey, this works in certain instances. So at least that leaves the door open to it occurring in future matches.
Yeah, I think the combination of making sure that you've got Sarr in the team when Decky goes out right, if you're going to give him license to, if you look at the touch map, and I wish I had a graphic for us, but if you look at the heat map, touch map, whatever for Decky, it doesn't look like a right winger. I mean, it's concentrated a lot on the right, but the number of touches through the center of the pitch and over on the left is actually not insignificant. So if you're going to do that, I think Sarr, who I think had a very underrated game, given all the flash and positive attention that obviously Decky and Madison and others had, his ability to cover ground is so critical. And Matt, what do you think? What do you think of the combination of just having a Madison, Basuma, and Sarr midfield as your best three, and throwing Decky out on the right, because that gives you Johnson on the bench as a sub, given how depleted we are up front?
I think I think it might be a bit horses for courses if we can do that. I mean, obviously, he's gone out there in a big game like Asley because the things he can do, Johnson can't do. You know, the build-up play, the holding the ball up, like Soul Sniper Gaming has said here. He's exactly right. But I mean, I don't know if I want to see that all the time. I think Deck has been superb in the middle, and that is arguably the best Madison has played since he's been at Spurs, isn't it? He was excellent, to be fair. But you know, Kulusevski has been really good in the middle in recent weeks. So I don't know if he'll do it all the time. I think it will just be, you know, if Madison, like we were speaking before, mate, if Madison starts going and dropping another few sixes in a row, do you know what I mean? Like he was at 9 on Saturday, but if he sort of lets his standards slip again, then he won't play. But I mean, I'll be interested to see what he does against Fulham. Will he play them both again? He can play them both together in games where we're probably going to dominate the ball, possibly. Could have done that against Ipswich, but he never. But yeah, I mean, I think he's had a kick up the arse. I think that is what we've seen from Madison. I've always said I think Madison thinks he's better than he is, but I think he's had a rocket up his arse the last few weeks, and he came in and proved what he can do, and that's what we want to see, because what we saw on Saturday is the Madison I thought we were getting, and we haven't seen that. So
We saw it in the
But-
first 10 games last season.
Yeah,
Mm.
we did. He was good, but I mean, I think Saturday was the best he has ever played for us. He was fantastic. The goals, I think Jack, you said we're going to come on to that, but like the second goal was brilliant. Not just the finish, the run, picking it up and you pointing to where he wanted it. So we'll see, won't we? It's brilliant options for us. Headaches for Ange, which is what you wanted to have, but what
Well, I
we
think
do, we'll see, won't we?
I think it'd be
It's good
helpful
vibes.
if other teams actually don't know exactly who's going to play, who's going to line up, and where they're going to line up, Dave. I mean, I think that what this fan base is, I mean, I've never wavered in my support for Ange. I mean, but if you're going to have a criticism of it, it might be as being, again, the criticism is lack of flexibility. And I think that may be overblown a little bit, but in order to provide something of some sort of decision for the other manager to make. Is Decky going to play in the middle and Madison's on the bench? Is Madison going to play and Decky outright? Is Madison going to play and Decky on the bench? I mean, there's a lot of, if you could do that a little bit more often and provide a little bit less certainty for the opposing teams. What is your preference in terms of this? Because the problem I have with Madison is what Matt's saying. He can be one of the best attacking midfielders in Europe. He has the skill set, he has the vision, he has the touch, but you get too many 5.5, 6 games out of him, and then you wait for a couple of 9s. I would almost rather him be a 7.5 every single time than just yo-yoing around, because it's hard to know when to play him. Clearly, Ange saw something in training, and that's the reason why he put him in the match. What are your feelings on James Madison and where his place in the team is?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because so just quickly on the Cooley bit, I don't want to see him on the right all the time, because what drives me up the wall is when we're at home and there's the team against us, a low blocking us, whatever, parking the bus, and he's on the right, and then he steps inside and he takes 5 million years to cross the ball, drives out the wall. Okay, but in a away game, like I want to see that team against Liverpool at Anfield. Obviously, I mean, Vicario will come to another time. When we play Liverpool at Anfield, I want to see that kind of setup, right? Now, to Madison, what I think is interesting is that you had the Basuma Sarr behind him or whatever, so he had more freedom. It was less getting in the way with Kulusevski in a way. I mean, if you look at the Arsenal home game, which drove me up the wall, with side-to-side passing, side-to-side, and no one was doing anything. And Madison and Kulu as well had a shockers that day, right? So I'm liking the fact that Madison's had a kick up the arse, because he's not in the England squad. He's not been playing regularly, and he got a bit prickly on the post-match interviews about, have you got a point to prove, and this, that, and the other. So I like that. So I think my fellow Australian, Ange, has managed the whole thing very, very well in this instance, and for Brendan as well. I like the fact that players think they're not an automatic start. That's good competition. That's the challenge that we've got now with our fullbacks, because they've come off a bit this season. I know Porro's got a fantastic goal, but they've got no competition at the moment, really.
Sorry, can I just drop in, Jack? Obviously, and because James will want to talk about this one, but obviously I've criticised. I've never really been Ange out, because we can't keep sacking managers, but I've questioned some of his decisions and lateness, his substitutions and stuff. But I think he got it spot on Saturday. And the one thing I did think he got it spot on with, like, Johnson was on the bench. Now, I'm not Johnson's biggest fan, as you know, but he got it spot on with bringing him on for Son at that period of time. Because at that time, 55 minutes, 60 minutes, Son was fading. The players were getting up his ass, and he was like laying it off to defenders, but you could tell he was rattled, and he just sort of lost his legs. And Johnson came on then, and Johnson added obviously legs and that energy that we needed to carry on. And that was brilliant. And that was brave from Ange to do that. Well, obviously not brave, but he's, Son's the captain, Son's the talisman. But that is where we are at with, that's where we're at with Son now. In my opinion, that's where we're at. We've got to be looking after them. We cannot carry players as we've seen in games of Spurs. What we do requires the 11 people, the 10 outfield players to be 100% at it, giving everything they've got for the full 95, 96 minutes, whatever it is you usually play now. And that was a great decision by Ange, but it was great to have somebody like Johnson with what he brings to come on for Son at that point. And that was another good, that was a really good decision by Ange. And I just wanted to say that.
I think you're right. I think 100%. James, I think he's right. And what I do want to kind of talk about is have you address what Dave was saying is if you think about the Arsenal game, and there's not the only ones, but where we just look turgid when the team is just defending the box very, very tightly, not coming out, meeting the ball high up the pitch, but just making us break them down. We've struggled. But I'll tell you, both goals from Madison. I mean, I think that the deep line run that we just haven't seen enough from, and we used to, every time you see that deep line run, who do you think? You think peak Dele Alli, of course, right? Someone who's coming from deep and picking that ball to the far post. You have to have the ability to put it on a plate like Decky did. But you just don't see enough of that. You also, and I think the second goal is even better on a low block, because if you think about how that comes out, is obviously Guardiola just has a mare of a first half and he just passes it into no one. Madison picks it up, finds Sonny square, and then runs what? You think about a 40-yard bending run as an overlap around, and every single City defender is like, that ain't my man, that ain't my man, that ain't. And he's just running by guys until Son just depths him in. And I got to say, the quality of the touch and the dink is almost world class. I mean, it's phenomenal. Yeah. So the question is, why don't we see more of that, James? I mean, I'd be showing that tape over and over and over and loop in the training ground, because that's the kind of movement you've got to have to break teams down.
Well, firstly, here's a rarity. Me and Dave agree. Davo agree on something. On the fullbacks, I agree. There's not enough competition, and I do think that's why our fullbacks' performances have slipped a little bit this year, because they know they're pretty safe. In regards to your question, Jack, it's kind of difficult, because when our second goal against City, we won the ball, basically that in their penalty area, more or less. Yeah. It was a transition goal. They weren't in their correct position, and then they slacked off, because City aren't used to actually defending. They're used to having all the ball. They're used to being 3-0 up. And actually, it was one of the things I noticed when we went 1-0 up against them, they looked completely rattled. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to respond to that. They were scared. It kind of looked like if I punched a 2-year-old, they didn't know how to react to that. That's genuinely what it seemed like. That's genuinely what it seemed like, They didn't know how to react to that. And then from then on, we were world-class compared to City. It was spectacular play. And you're right, it is reminiscent of young Dele Alli. That's genuinely what Madison looked like. But I think you only kind of get that kind of performance in certain circumstances. But the big thing, and I know HG will agree with me on this, Madison was far forward. There were 2 pivots behind him. He didn't have to worry about defending when we were going forward, at least. I mean, when we were in the second half, we all defended. And we defended brilliantly, by the way, in the second half. With Ben Davies playing as a centre-back and a 22-year-old Romanian, however your Dragoson is. But Madison was allowed creative freedom for the most part. And I think that's a big part of it, because especially when he's playing with Kulu and they're 2 of the midfielders, he has to track back a lot to get the ball. But if there's 2 pivots behind him, he doesn't have to. He's free to occupy these spaces. So it helps. That's part of why, I think.
Yeah, you need that, though, don't you? If you're playing against a low block, you need runners. You need other players running at players to commit defense. That's what you need. You need movement and runners. And like we said, the running part at players. Johnson is great at getting on the end of things, and if there's space, using his pace to get into that space. But we had like Kulusevski out wide, who was sort of dragging players out. Don was doing it on the other side, and like you said, Madison was making forward runs. So when you are making those runs, somebody's got to go with you, which is making space in different places. And sometimes we don't do that all the time. So that's what you got to do against low blocks. But we were relentless, weren't we, in the press? Even those players were doing that, we were relentless. And I think I said it in the group the other day, Jack. Obviously, we're not as at that point yet. But when City were in their pomp, and when Liverpool were in their pomp under Klopp, they were relentless. You never used to hear them say, "Oh, but they're playing a low block." They didn't care.
Yeah.
Low block, high line. They were just, we are relentless. We do not stop every single. Which is funny because that's what Ange used to say it like Celtic, didn't he? But we were like, they are relentless. We suffocate them. We make them make mistakes, like we made City make mistakes at the back, and that's what Spurs have got to do. It's got to be that attitude when what we played against City needs to be that attitude against Ipswich, or not just, we can just play our football today. This is how we do it, but we're playing Ipswich, or we're playing so-and-so today, so we'll play that. No, we play our football at a tempo and an intensity which nobody can cope with. And that is like Madison. So basically what I'm trying to say, Madison needs to play with that intensity. And if he can't manage 90 and it's 60 or 70, but we've got Kulusevski who can come in there, and Johnson who can, that's what it needs to be. 95 minutes of pure hell for the opposition.
Yeah, I think it's something that's funny. I'll just mention on this point, Dave, that I think it was Danny Kelly on View for the Lane in their podcast who said, he actually almost felt sorry for Kyle Walker because for the first 60 minutes, he's up against Son, who's having a really good game, who's very active, going all around. And so Son finally comes off, and what do we give him? A much faster Brennan Johnson to have to keep up and run around with. And then Johnson moves over to the right for the last 10 minutes of the game. And who do we bring in to have to face him? Freaking Timo Werner, who's the fastest of all three. And he's like, I felt sorry for him because that last goal, of course, where Timo just measures on it, say, all right, old man, you've been on the pitch for 94 minutes. I think I'll just go right by you. And he just glides past him. So I think that's a good point. If you do time your subs right and you do have the right mentality, Dave, then you can have a great game even against a good team, because one of the things that we did poorly against both Ipswich and Crystal Palace is we didn't meet the physicality. We did not meet their physicality in either game. But yet yesterday, City had 19 fouls and 4 yellows, should have been at least 6. And that was the type of thing that other teams knew. If we just get rough with you, if we just keep hacking you down, we keep fouling you, slow you down, get it all muddied up, we can get at Tottenham. But that did not work yesterday for City. So I think, and the other thing that I said is the system isn't the problem. Our forwards aren't good enough. As a collective unit, our forwards have not been good enough. But Saturday, all 7 forwards who played either got a goal or an assist.
Even Timo.
But Dave, it's because it's City, isn't it? That's because it's City. That is why, like Jack said, we're taking the physicality, we're matching it. It's like when we play Ipswich, it's as if when we're getting those fouls, we're going, "How dare you, Ipswich? How dare you foul us? How dare you?" Do you know? But that's what it is. That's the mentality and the attitude I get. We don't have to meet their physicality today. We should be able to outplay these.
Yeah, no. but this is who we are. We've all been doing, collectively. We're the team that beat Villa 4-1 at home and then lose to Palace away. We're the team that loses to Ipswich at home and go and spank City away. And next week, Fulham at home, 2-1 Fulham.
Look at the City midfield, though. Look at the City midfield.
Who we are.
They had Gundogan, who's lost his legs completely ever since he went to Barcelona. I mean, fair dues. I'd probably rather be in Catalonia.
You mean he's left his legs in Barcelona?
He's definitely left them somewhere, not on the pitch at least. Foden, some fella I've never heard of before called Bob Lewis, whatever his name
Rico
is.
Lewis. Bob is out still.
He's terrible, so who cares?
Rico Lewis is not terrible.
Oscar Bob, you mean?
I mean, Bernardo Silva.
Yeah, he's out injured.
What's the common denominator about all 4 of them?
None
of them. You wouldn't pick any of them to back you in a fight, would you? None of them are big. None of them
with the 2-year-old.
And actually, no. My point more so is you look at our midfield. It's scrappy. There's a lot of work rate. There's a lot of physicality, and we just bullied them. And actually, I think we were technically better. Saul was technically better than any Man City player on Saturday.
But I think we can learn from that, James. I think we can learn from that because I know what you're saying, but Bernardo Silva was a fantastic footballer.
Yeah.
Fantastic player. Kyle Walker is probably been the best full right back this country has produced for a long, long time. Gundogan was an immense footballer, but watching City, the impression I get is that Guardiola, whether City have been wanting to spend money because of stuff that's going on or whatever, but City have got John Stones as well. I'll put in there. Not sure about De Bruyne, but he's been injured. But they look like a team to me where he's been a little bit too loyal and a little bit too sentimental and have kept certain players around for an extra year. That's why he's staying, I think, because he knows there's a rebuild and he's probably been a little bit too sentimental. We can learn from that. Spurs have got to learn from that with certain players that we've got that are probably getting to that age. And you've got
we're awful. Hang on, we're awful sellers. We are dreadful sellers.
You know, let's say, for instance, without getting into it, like we spoke, let's just use Son as the example. But we need to be looking at that now going, we've got a young kid in Moore coming through, who's 17. We've got Son, who's in his 30s. We don't need another 18, 19-year-old, 21-year-old in that position. We need a 25, 26-year-old who's ready to hit his prime, who's really good. So he can share those minutes with Son. Take those minutes off, and then when Son goes, we've got the progression of the guy who's a little bit older, but Moore will be in his early 20s to follow. That's what we need to do. That's what City look like, a team who had taken their eye off the ball and have let too many players just stay a year or two too long, or relying on players a year or two too many. And and that's why it was, James. I think you're right. You wouldn't, say about back in the minute, but I just think they look leggy, didn't they? They look like we've seen those types of players at Spurs before. We've had players where we've let that happen to us before, and you look at them and you just think,
everyone
great player, but
just
taxi
for Walker, right? I mean, one Welshman destroyed Maicon. I mean, another Welshman's destroyed Kyle Walker. So say the V, right?
I think the German finished him off.
Let me play my narrative. Okay, it doesn't matter. Facts don't matter. Let me say it's Brendan Johnson. Let me have my moment.
I think your Welsh narrative is better served by the man who played at central defence on the weekend.
Yeah.
Wait, hold a second. Wait a minute. I'm not sure I know who that was. Was that Ben Maldini?
Yes, gentle.
Now, someone said on the Friday show, and I've no idea who it was, that for Dragusin, this would be an ideal game for him because City will have more of the possession and it will be back to Wolves defending, which an old-fashioned defender like Dragusin more suited to. I've no idea who said it, but
Well, I know who. I don't know who said it either, but if I knew who they were, I would correct their pronunciation as to Dragushin. But that's okay.
What's your opinion, Jack? Because you're a centre-back by trade, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, Dragushin had a game where he did not make any huge mistakes. I mean, the first 10 minutes we were under the cosh, right? I mean, City was determined to get out to a fast start. They just had a great pre-game ceremony for Rodri. Obviously, we're going to come to that in just a second. So about Rodri in particular, but I just knew they were going to come, and just fortunately, for us, Holland was off it, right? Because, he should have buried at least one of his chances. He didn't. Had a great save from Vicario, which again, yes, I'm seeing in the comments. We're aware that he's out. We're going to come to that. And so I would say that he was solid, but not spectacular. He did what he was supposed to do, what I expect a good physical forward. Forward defender will do. His completed pass to Decky for the first goal, I think, was pretty fortunate to be a completed long ball. He just kind of flew it out there, and Guardiola just basically handed it to Decky. But I thought he was solid all game. His passing accuracy could increase a little bit, but I think more time in the system with the right attitude and his manager keeping his mouth shut, I think he's a great addition potentially. We just need him to get up to speed, because I just don't know, how much longer we're going to have Romero. I don't know if Mickey is going to. I feel like he may be, until he has surgery, going to always have hammies problems. It's third year in a row he's had hamstring issues. We need Vuskovic. We need Phillips to come up.
How old
He's 17. He'll be coming to Tottenham at 18.
Yeah, but he's not going to start playing.
No, I'm saying we need these players. We need all three. We need those guys to really rapidly develop, because I'm not sure how long the current center back pairing that we've got, that is our first choice, is going to stay together for a variety of reasons.
But he's rough on the ball, isn't he, Draghi?
Yeah, but he can get better with time and playing in the system.
I just think what he did, Jack, was just like really simple, just basic defending. Got his head on the ball. Got his head on the ball. He didn't do anything too rash. I mean, there was one time he played the ball straight out. That's how bad he is on the ball. But he gets his head on stuff. He sort of doesn't really lose his man. Like him and Davis, I think obviously it's different when you want us to come out with the ball a little bit, but you can't expect them to do that really. But him and Davis, what they did was just like basic defending. That's what they were in there for. Don't ball watch. And
we didn't play that much of a high line either.
Don't let players have space. It's just really simple stuff.
Yeah, and here's the thing that I've commented on during the match with my son all game long, because I watched this because this is kind of the way I watch the game, is I watch it from the back line forward. I'm not watching the ball. I'm watching the back line forward. And one of the things that you'll see a lot of times in the matches we've struggled with is the back four are not in our line. They are that you've got Romero stepping out to try to win a ball. You got Mickey coming out to play something. In other words, they're both aggressive, brilliant center backs. But what happens is the back line all of a sudden is off center. You're now creating pockets of space. You're creating situations for forwards to be on sides when they shouldn't be, because you're not in a line. If you will go back and watch that game again, or just even watch extended highlights and focus on our back four, on those white shirts, and the number of times that they got out of shape by more than a yard or two is very limited. It was very disciplined. The whole back four was incredibly disciplined, which I think made a huge difference because you didn't create all those pockets of space for other team to exploit. And you're right. It's called basic defending. And you know what? It does work sometimes.
So I'd love it when Romero's fit again. He has to fight to win his place back in the team. That would
be fantastic.
Absolutely, he should, Dave, because what he has lacked, I think Romero is arguably our best player at it. When everybody's fully fit, playing their best, he's brilliant.
I agree.
But, I think he is. I think he's a brilliant defender. He's a brilliant footballer. But he has really lacked defensive discipline for me this season. I think maybe he's looking at moving on elsewhere. I don't know. I think he would leave someone, or in the heat of the moment, maybe go out to do something he shouldn't do, and you said, like Jack said, leave those pockets of space. And another thing, like the same with Davis on his side, I think Van der Ven's brilliant, but I don't think he's an absolutely fantastic defender. I don't think he is. I think he's really quick, and I think he's a good defender. Doesn't win loads of balls in the air for a bloke his size, does he?
Yes.
So, but he is good. You know, you wouldn't want to be without him, and I think I'd really struggle to go, if you're going to pick a back four, go, well, yeah, I'll have Davis and Dragusin because of like how they played against City. You're always going to want to play, for me, Romero and Van der Ven if you can. But yeah, I just think the defensive discipline
Darren's screaming at you, Matt. Darren is screaming. He is screaming. He is not a fan.
I agree. I agree, Darren.
I agree.
I think there's been times when he's been fantastic.
I'm more with Matt. I think he saves and creates way more than he costs. But I understand he's a high risk defender, and that's not for every system and every team. Maybe not for us. I don't know. But if you can, I don't know about that. But I think you're not getting Romero out of Tottenham next summer for less than 100 million. So I'd say there's a good chance that he's going to be with us next season. The question is, does he down tools? I don't know, but we'll have to see.
How long's he got left in his contract? We have 2 years left in the summer, wasn't it?
2 years left in the summer, yeah.
Yeah, the obvious point is we don't have to play with two attacking fullbacks every single game of football. You could play Davies on the left and tell him basically, let me have the ball. You defend, Porro, you crack on, mate.
I think his days.
You could do that. You could attack. You could do different things. He's not great at fullback. I watched him in Wales, Iceland, and he was playing left back. He's obviously much more comfortable as a centre back. But I think you've got the issue here of Romero doesn't care about Tottenham. He does not care about He wants
Correct.
to go around Madrid or Barcelona or wherever he does. He cares about Argentina. I don't hate someone for caring more about playing for their country than the club. Fair dues. But Ben Davies captains Wales and still cares about Tottenham, still puts in a shift. So, I mean, you can do both, can't you? I mean, my issue with Romero is ultimately he is very rash. And as much as he can be a world-class centre-back, I would much rather have the guy who puts in a 7 out of 10 every week than the guy who puts in a 9 out of 10 once a week and the next week puts in a 2 out of 10.
Right.
So I do have some issues with Romero.
Listen. If Romero goes in the summer, I'm not bothered, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not bothered, except that the chance that we buy someone that can get close to replacing him in the squad is obviously the concern.
Yeah, but this is what I would do, my friend. Sell him for a shitload of money, buy 2 centre-backs, and Mickey van der Ven can play left-back as cover and competition for destiny. Covers off the old, I'm not very good in the air. Covers off the old pace down the left. Got to sort out his session on hamstrings. Job done.
I mean, we could play him as a left winger, Van der Ven. I mean, he's quicker than anyone else. Who cares if he's cross, he's going to beat his man, isn't he?
Last word on this at the back, at the defenders, though, Jack, if you want. But I will just say this: nobody will agree with me on this. But I would, if Romero wants to go, and we do have to sell him, then I'd sell him, and I would go to Crystal Palace, and I would pay them whatever they want for Mark Gahey. And the reasons I would do that, because I think he's a good centre back. I think he is a good centre back. I think he is a leader. I'm not saying he's a shouting ball and leader, but I don't think you get them very. I think he speaks well. He communicates well. Every time I've watched him, he's been not steady, but I just think he's decent, and I just think that he would bring something to Spurs, just the way he plays, the way he conducts himself, and like I said, like not just how good a centre back he is, but I think he would bring the qualities we need on the football pitch that we say at times we don't like ill discipline in defending and stuff like that. And I think he'd be a great centre back for us, captain material.
I like him.
For me,
I think he's really good. I think that. So where did he come from? Did he come from Chelsea to them?
He went to. I'm sure he was on loan at somewhere like Derby, but initially he was at Chelsea. Yeah.
Yeah. So to be honest with you, I think that boat has sailed, and one of the bigger boys who want to pay more and spend more will get him. I think the ship's. I'd love him. I agree. So you said no one will agree with you. So I am agreeing with you. And can I just say, Gibbo, I think it's the first time we've done a show for a long time. So here, let's have a quick hug. But at the end of the day, I agree with you. I think he would be great. And he looks like a leader. And by God, we need them. So if Romero goes and we get him in, that is a great, as they say in America, trade, I think.
Yeah.
And then that's great. But I think the ship has sailed.
All right. Well, let me pivot just slightly a second, because I this came up with City Game and with Rodri in particular, because there was a lot of comments about how they're weak in the midfield, how weak they were. You were talking about that, Gibbo, that was not hard for Spurs to run all over their midfield and have their way with it. So for me, unless you are those of those fans in Madrid can possibly at all argue for that Rodri was the absolute deserved Ballon d'Or winner, because when he's not in Spain and he's not in City, those are beatable but good teams. They are very, very, you can play through them. You don't have to work nearly as hard. I think I don't think City or Spain have lost a game that Rodri started in, maybe one in like 2 years. I mean, it's ridiculous when he's not in the lineup how different City is. So my question is, and you guys, I don't care about your feelings on that matter because I don't care about the Ballon d'Or. My question is, this man, is it unreasonable to believe that when he keeps putting in performance after performance after performance like this, that there is no reason why he should not be on the list next year for the Ballon d'Or? Well, and at least invited to the ceremony. I'm not saying he's handed
trophy. Yeah, he needs to win it. He needs to win a trophy.
No, and again, I'm not saying win the Ballon d'Or, because Harry Kane.
No, he needs to win a trophy with his team.
Yeah.
The issue of the Ballon d'Or is the Ballon d'Or's complete nonsense.
Of course it is. I'm just saying, recognizing he's one of the best midfielders, forwards in Europe.
He obviously is. It's just what some French journalists reckon about something. That's all the Ballon d'Or is. That's all it ever was. I don't know why people take it seriously. I mean, lock 10 journalists in a room and they might write a sentence correctly. I mean, it's just what some French morons think. That's all it is. It's nonsense. I don't know why anyone takes it seriously, remotely. I don't know why a bunch of Brazilians got really upset that Vinicius didn't win it. I mean, I don't think he's that good anyway. I mean, I think he's pretty naff. But, I mean, Kulusevski is better than Vinicius. So, I mean, Brazilians will send car bombs to my house, won't they? But who cares? It's a nonsense award. I mean,
it's the Nobel Peace Prize of football, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's a nonsense award as well. It's just.
I mean, Real Madrid didn't turn up for that ceremony either on Saturday either.
Right.
They just don't like.
Well, Real Madrid are a bunch of crybabies, aren't they? And I don't take them seriously as a football club. I just don't take Real Madrid seriously in general. But that's a different conversation. I mean,
so we've covered our French journalists, 2-year-olds, and Real Madrid in your sights tonight, James.
Oh, mate, when I'm dictator, they go first. They go first. Right. They go to the work camps first, my friend. Now, jokes aside, I mean, Kulusevski is probably the best midfielder in the Premier League right now, aside from Kevin De Bruyne. Maybe I think.
No, I don't think Kevin De Bruyne is a shadow against right now. He's not. I mean, I think there are 5 better midfielders in the league than De Bruyne right now.
Well, yeah, as an 8,
maybe 10.
I mean, as an 8, I mean, as a 6, obviously, you've got the guy who thought he was Irish, then decided he was English as soon as it was convenient for him, and then played for the
Declan No Rice.
I don't know why he was ever allowed to do that. I mean, he's a traitor, isn't he? And then you've got the fella who won the French Journalist Award, Rodri, who's obviously a world-class player. But as an 8, I mean, I don't really know who compares to Kulusevski. I mean, you've got the Norwegian fellow who plays for the Scum, and you've got I don't know who I'm comparing him to, because Kulusevski's better physically than any player comparable to him in his position.
Yeah, he's close to being unplayable.
There's more chance of big bids coming in for Kulu over the summer than for Romero. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's a good shout.
Rodri's the dog's bollocks. Rodri's the absolute dog's bollocks. With Kulusevski, absolutely fantastic. More or less unplayable at the minute. Let's just let it unfold and see how it goes before we start. Because look at last season, people would have sold Kulusevski in the summer.
I have to put my hand up.
Yes, you do. I wasn't going to call you out, but go ahead.
But because I'm that's the kind of person I am. I'm happy to be smug, and I'm happy to admit my many foibles in life. And I said, if a bid came, I said on the very positive podcast that is on the only time I've been on there, I said it's like a shop window and a shop, and he's parked out in the middle of the back, and if someone comes in and goes, "Have you got that Kulusevski knocking around? I'll give you a cheeky 30." I'd have taken it because I was getting tired of him stepping inside and waiting for 5 hours for the cross. So I'm happy to accept that.
City will come sniffing, mate.
They will.
Massively. Matt City will come sniffing. He's always praising him. Guardiola.
Always.
They'll have players that they think they can try and offer us. We've got to resist that. We should maybe be looking at spending his
I'm just waiting for him to say it's a Kulusevski team.
Listen, we need to resist it when Guardiola needed to buy a load of fullbacks and we resisted that bid for Kyle Walker. That's what we need to do.
Yeah,
the one thing I will say is, especially with Kyle Walker, I think Levy has learned from that a bit. I'd like to think. And, I mean, to quote Alex Ferguson, getting my gallstones removed was the second most painful experience of my life. Negotiating with Daniel Levy was the most painful experience of my life. I mean, I'd like to think he's learned. I mean, Kulusevski isn't leaving for less than 100 million. If he's on a long-term contract, he's not going to City for less than a ridiculous quantity of money.
He's 24 years old. I wouldn't sell him for less than $1.20 to an
it's going to be Neymar level money, isn't it? Right. So I just can't see it happening. City won't pay it.
Let's be honest. Let's be the brilliant player. We've got good players that other teams may come sniffing around. But ultimately, because we've all seen this before, we're all long enough in the tooth. They will want to win stuff. we're saying we won't sell them for this, won't do it for that. But at some point, we're not winning. We're not winning. They will start saying to their agents, "You need to get me a move. You need to get me out. You need to get me out." But we don't want it to get to that. We've got to start like how we are at the minute. It might be fun at times, and obviously we're beating Man City 4-0, then you're losing to Ipswich 1-0. However we're doing it, whatever role we're doing it, that's not going to be enough. That isn't going to be enough for players like Kulusevski. The way his trajectory is going that way at the minute, he's going up. That's where his trajectory is going up. He's not going to want to stay mid. He will want to, and it's like Romero. No matter what we think of him, they will want to play Champions League football. No matter what we all think about it, they will want to play Champions League football. They will want to challenge for honours. They just will. Because Kulusevski is Swedish. Do you know what I mean? It's not as if he's got a good chance, has a massive chance with his country. They're not terrible, but he's not got a massive chance like Bale. But without having a dig, James, he's Welsh. He's thinking, I want to like represent Wales, and I love playing for them, and I'll enjoy that, and I'll take that on. But my glory is probably going to come at club level, and it ain't going to happen at Spurs. But so what I'm saying is, we've got to match these players. That if we want to keep them and say we're not selling him for that, we're not selling him for this. Eventually, they'll just go, "I'll see my contract out."
How are we going to match? How are we going to match their ambition?
Well, that's a discussion for a different day, isn't it?
Yeah, we're not going there.
It surely is.
Conversation goes.
Where I'm with you. I'm with you, Dave. I am with you on that. But that is what we're going to have to do. That is what we're saying. There people will come sniffing from. They will. They will. All right. We have got to do what we can to make sure.
Let's seal off Tangent Avenue and move on.
Let's hope. All right. So a couple. I wanted to get some numbers in for the audience, and also for you guys, because I think it leads into I want to look forward. We got 2 big games coming up. Lots of games coming up, obviously. So some season-long stats. Tottenham is now the top scoring team in the Premier League at 27 goals. Some other stats that are interesting. They're also the top in non-penalty XG, which is only 24.5. So we're not actually outperforming our XG. We're scoring about what we should based on our chances. Most of the outperformance came against City. We've got 9, these are all from Opta, 9 goals on what they call fast breaks, which the second place team has 5.
What's the definition of a fast break?
I think I'm not sure if that's a weird phrase. I pulled it in an article.
Winning the ball in transition, then attacking quickly.
I think so. I'm not sure.
Right.
However, Opta defines it, we have double second place. I don't know. But we're first in pressures resulting in turnovers and total recoveries. Second in possession, shots, successful passes in the final third, touches in the opponent's box, and field tilt. Third, shots on target, passing accuracy, and successful open play crosses, which shocked me that we are third in the league in successful open play crosses.
I would challenge that stat, frankly.
Yeah, you got to go to Opta for that. So here's the thing. We have the same number of wins as Chelsea and Arsenal, and the same number of losses as Brentford, Bournemouth, Everton, Palace, and Ipswich. All our losses in the league are by 1 goal. All but 2 wins in all competitions are by multiple goals. The only ones that we haven't won by multiple goals are the Coventry and against the Hungarians. Those are about 2 wins.
Feast or famine.
So that was talking about the beginning of the show. We're very erratic. And most of that comes, and we can tell you what happens when our offense, our forwards are clicking, when we're at our game, we're close to unplayable. But we're 7th in the league in expected goals against, and we concede the 5th highest quality chances. So what it really comes down to is whether or not our defense is really we all think we have great defenders, but as a unit, we haven't been defending well this season. So the question, we're better than last year, but not well enough to actually challenge, I think. So the question is going forward, what are we going to get? So is this the best win of the season? Is it the best win of the Premier League era and is actually a platform to build on? Or now that we've got Vicario out for the next 6-8 weeks.
Brilliant.
I don't know if any word on Udogie. He looked like he pulled
All right.
pulled up with a hammy. I haven't seen any news on him. Romero may not be back Thursday.
Oh no.
Right? So Mickey's not going to be back until mid-December. So should we expect Ranieri to come in and park 10 guys in the penalty area Thursday night?
Oh, is this the Roma preview bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, what are we going to get? Because, and the question I have for you, James, and all of you, is Ange's decision to leave Spence off the roster, now look like a genius that Vicario's done until Christmas or longer?
Who knows?
Or should we still have Spence available and play Brandon Austin Thursday?
I don't know. Like there was all sorts of calls for Spence to be playing when we were losing games. Here's an interesting fact for you all. In Ange's first season in Japan, he finished the season as his team were the highest scoring team, but they conceded the third most goals and they finished mid-table. Season after, they won the league. Dominantly. I think the thing that... Sorry, I'm going to talk about the City game for 2 more moments. The thing that was most impressive for me wasn't that we scored 4 goals. It was the fact that we kept a clean sheet, that we defended as a team. And I think that, you look towards the next few games, okay, Romero's going to be out, Van de Ven's going to be out. Dragusin and Davies do work, I think, when you tell them to defend. When you tell them you've got to play the ball out from the back, then there's going to be some issues for us. But when you just tell them, oi, mate, tackle that geezer, they'll be grand. So I do worry, especially against a guy like Ranieri, who, he's out of retirement, isn't he?
Roma haven't been great.
I don't know how Roma play. I don't know how Ranieri plays.
They lost to Napoli at the weekend. I think
they look terrible.
Yeah.
Who's Napoli managed by these days?
Some bloke named Antonio, I think.
Bipolar Italian teenage girl.
And where are they? Where are they in Serie A at the moment?
I don't have the table up. Why don't you tell us, Dave?
I think they're top.
Yeah, well,
Napoli
Antonio Conte has about as many mood swings as an emo 13-year-old girl, so I'm not really interested in that clown. But
so Roma sits 13th in the table. They have a negative goal differential, and they've won 1 game in their last 6.
So we're going to lose 4-0. Grand.
So Dave, do you think that in retrospect, even though we thought it was crazy to leave Spence off the roster for Europa League, are we happy that he did because now it's Forster and not Brandon Austin or Luca or somebody else from the academy?
Well, I think the decision to not to have Spence in the Europa squad was a ridiculous decision, full stop. Clearly, I think Gray will play right back and Bentancur can play, so he'll come in.
Yeah.
Now, I know that some people on the View from the Lane think that we should, as a matter of principle as a club, not play him in the Europa. I think that's a load of old piffle.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, Ranieri is the 4th manager that Roma have had this calendar year. Did you know that? They're on to the 4th. No, well, there you go. And do you know who else who plays for them, but I think is injured at the moment? Dybala. Remember him?
Yeah.
So they're definitely struggling. I think that you could, as I said, stick Gray in at right back, stick Bentancur in the middle, and rest either Biss or Sarr, who was fantastic on the weekend. And then I think Mikey Moore's got glandular fever or something. And I'd stick old Lancashire up front as well. I'll tell you, Solanke was fantastic on the weekend. I think I really like Solanke. But Lancashire, I put Lancashire there. Roma not doing that well. So let's try and see.
We'll see a redemption for Bergvall, I think. I think he'll give him. I think he'll say, get out there at home, show him what you can do.
I reckon you should put Bergvall in there. I think you should rest Madison and put Bergvall in the Madison role. Don't play him as an 8. Stick Bentancur there. Yeah, I think you've got to give Bergvall a little bit of freedom at the moment. He's been a bit unlucky.
I think
he should play.
I think Galatasaray was a baptism of fire, really. I think you're right, though. I think you see Gray play. I think Bergvall will come in. I think Bentancur will come in. I think Lancashire will come in. I wouldn't be surprised. I stand
corrected on Lancashire. He's suspended. Thank you.
That's right.
Of course he is. He got sent off.
My apologies.
I think Gray will probably play left back because I think I don't think they'll play Udogie. So I think Porro will probably start right back, and Gray will go left back, and then you'll probably see Bentancur, Bergvall, Sarr maybe, because Sarr's young, full of energy, isn't he?
Yeah.
Johnson will probably come in, Werner will come in, and
Werner.
I don't know that we need Sarr's leg. I mean, for me, I want Madison to play again. I want him to not. I want him to play again. I'd like to see Decky on the bench, Johnson on the right. Werner is going to play to the left. Sloanke has to play because he's the only fit center forward or available.
He'll play Son down the middle. Give him 60.
No.
It's a different game of football, though, right? Like when we went to Galatasaray, that's a hostile environment.
Yeah.
And it's going to be difficult psychologically. At home against Roma, completely different environment. For the younger players, it's going to be a lot easier because we're going to have however many fans we have backing them. So it's going to feel more comfortable for them. We're going to have most of the ball. So it's going to be a lot easier mentally and pressure-wise on those younger players. I mean, so it's a completely different game of football in a sense.
Yeah, against the Ranieri, the way Ranieri set up against Conte is they gave him the ball. I mean, Napoli had almost 60% of the ball.
Yeah,
and Roma got one shot on target, about 5 or 6 total, I think. And they didn't really venture far out of their own half. They didn't have a lot of action. They were just trying to get a result, trying to get some discipline. They're not going to come in. They're going to sit and just hope they can frustrate us and nick one, maybe get a draw. They're not coming. I don't think they're coming gangbusters at us. So for me, I want Madison on the pitch. I want Johnson. I mean, Johnson's not ideal to play against him, but I think Kulusevski needs a rest so that you play Johnson.
They'll probably low block Jack
Johnson, Werner at all. I think you play him, or you say, let me go with the team that just demolished Man City, get a couple of goals and pull them all off. I don't know.
I do. That's what I do. But that's an old-fashioned way of looking at it, isn't it, Jack? But I'm with you. I'd probably play. There's some players you've got to bring in, but I would go with as strong as I could. Like you said, Gray's probably going to have to come in. But in the attacking areas, maybe go as strong as you can for 60 minutes, and then bring the other guys on if it's not.
Well, I'd definitely start Bentancur. Given the weakness of our squad depth, you got to start.
Oh yeah, he has to start.
Yeah,
and to keep him ticking over as well.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think for this game, Dragushin and Benny will be just fine. I don't think you have to have Romero come in. My more worry about is the fullbacks. That's really the issue. Is that I'd like to not have to play both fullbacks, but one of them's going to have to play because you're right. Gray's going to play either right or left.
Gray will play left. Get Son, Solanke, and Johnson up front and say, do your work, and then have a rest. Just fucking go for them.
Bring on that game changer Werner, and then we'll go.
But mate, this is another. Werner is that his final action is usually, apart from that, so poor.
But yes,
but I don't think his all-round gaming performances when he's played for Spurs have been that bad. I think it's the end, his last action that's been really, really terrible.
Between the penalty areas, he's pretty good.
He's pretty good, and so
between the penalty areas, he's paid to
score goals. I know, but I don't think he hasn't been great, but I don't think he's been as bad as made out. It's just his finishing.
It's just the high-profile misses. You just can't have that many high-profile misses.
No. Against a high line, Timo Werner's incredible. That's what he's good at. He's good at running.
Incredible.
Have I walked into a Werner loving party here?
Yeah. No, I mean, pointing out the strengths of
we're just trying to be.
He's useful against a high line
because people have really said Draguson's had some hammer the last few weeks, and I don't think he's as bad as people have made out.
No, he's not. But he's new and he's 22. Yeah, Werner is what he is. He's 22.
Werner is a busted flush. Okay.
Yes. He's got wings, mate. He's been at Red Bull long enough to have grown his own wings. That's why he's so quick.
Look, okay, HD on Friday shocked me when I think he was starting to saying that Johnson's worse than Eric Lamela, and I had to have a lie down after that one. Now I've walked into a Werner Lederhosen loving here, right?
I just want
to Werner. This is what Werner's good at. You ready? Running quickly in a straight line. Tick. One cross in 5. Good. Tick. If he has to think about anything, forget about it. finishing awful. Now, if we're an attacking team and you're playing that front three, you want at least 10 to 15 goals out of each of them up top. He's not capable of that. He's not good enough. No. But at the moment, because we've got no one, he'll have to play.
He has to play.
Wait, David, are you telling me you defended Brennan Johnson to HG?
I was against Gibbo and HG about Brendan Johnson all the way up to the North London derby, and then I got very irritated. And then he had his renaissance again. But I think at the end of the day, Brennan runs, gets to the other end of the cross. His crossing's awful. I mean, imagine if he got Palmer instead of him that summer. And Ange wanted Brennan. Let's be fair. So
and Timo.
He scored more goals
on 160 grand a week
Palmer this season.
Look. Before we get on, let me just because
Johnson is turning into Enoch as a discussion point.
Johnson is exactly the player I thought he was when we bought him. And that's not digging him. I'm just saying he's exactly what he is what I thought.
Yes.
Are we having score predictions, Jack?
Yeah. So here we have a situation where I just want to also mention that our three worst losses of the season, which are the Crystal Palace game, Ipswich, and who was the third? Palace, Ipswich,
Arsenal,
Brighton. All came after Thursday Europa League games. Just want to throw that out there for the preview of Fulham, but we're not doing that.
That's right.
That's another excuse. So I hate that's another one I hate.
Yeah. So I mean
if you want to win and you want to be good, you can't be doing that, can you? It's just a fucking excuse. We've been poor.
No, you can't. If you want to be good, you can't do that. You're 100% right.
And have a decent squad to deal with these things.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So
when you're winning, if we're winning all those games, the players don't care about they don't feel tired. They only feel tired and come up with the excuse when they get shit performances. When they're winning and everything's going rosy, nobody gives a shit.
No, but you still need enough players to deal with
yes. What I'm saying is,
yes.
The old excuses come when you're not playing well, and you give them an out.
So you want a prediction?
Yeah, I do.
I'm going to go 3-1 Tottenham. Werner will score a brace, and Davis will leap like a salmon to score from a corner.
Holy, that's very specific. James, make sure you snip that and send that back out.
I reckon we'll lose 1-0.
I love it, James.
Blimey.
No. Only reason is because every time I predict us to win, we lose. So I'm going to predict us.
I think it is a 1-0 game, James. I think you're right.
I think if I predict us to lose, we'll win. So I'm going to predict us to lose every time in the hope that I cast the bad luck on the other team.
Yeah, I think it's a 1-0 game. I'll just take Tottenham 1-0. But I hear you, James. I think this is going to be an unpleasant watch for me here in the American holiday of Thanksgiving.
Yes, of course. Happy Thanksgiving.
2-1 Spurs. I'm going for 2-1 Spurs. Spurs will go 1-0 down. We'll all be buzzing because we beat Man City 4-0. The ground will be buzzing. We'll get hit with a goal by, and the crowd will all go quiet. And I think we'll have to bring players on to save us if we put I don't want to say a shit team out. If we change it too much, we'll have to bring certain players on, like Solanke, to run his bollocks off once again.
But it's on at 7 o'clock on Friday morning. Yeah,
we are going to run Dominic Solanke lame.
I agree with you.
Get him somehow. That bloke has been fantastic, absolute warrior. But we are going to run him lame.
I agree with you.
And that guy, it'll be the next one to go down.
Well, the good news though is that he doesn't seem to mind. So
no. But
no.
Fatigue gives you injuries, doesn't it? And obviously, he can have a rest in mid-January when Richarlison's back again for a couple of weeks. But I'd play Solanke on, and I'd say
we don't have any choice unless we go 3-5-2.
Get him some goals. I mean, he's never going to score the amount of goals he did for Bournemouth. The amount of selfless running he has to do for us
Well, he doesn't get a
Unbelievable.
decent cross on his head either. Look, our esteemed colleague and friend in Vienna put forward a crazy thought about 4 weeks ago when me and Leon were on the show. He said, why didn't we buy Tony and Solanke in the summer? That's just crazy talk.
I mean,
That is
Ivan
crazy
Toney.
talk.
I mean, Ivan Toney would have whacked a tenner on us signing him, so I don't know about that. But I mean,
Boomfish.
if you're not putting Solanke up top, you're looking at what, Brennan Johnson. I mean, he's played up front for Wales.
I'd play him through the middle before I played Son.
Yeah,
I think Son is better as a 9 than he is as a winger.
Not against
No, he's not.
Not
No,
anymore.
he's not.
He hasn't got the legs. He wants to be inside. He wants to play centrally. His skill is his technical ability, not his physicality or his speed.
His
I
skill,
think he's good. As a 9.
his skill now is his finishing. That's it.
To play him as a 9.
Nah.
An elite
Yeah,
finisher.
no. We need someone.
No.
He doesn't hold the ball up. We need an outlet. We Slanky does so much work for us, particularly in hold up and link up play. Son is not his game.
agree.
I'm not saying he can't play center forward for somebody. He just can't play it for Ange, in my opinion.
Well, no. I mean, he played as a 9 last season.
I know he did.
Yeah,
How was Brennan Johnson scored so many goals for us this season?
No.
Being at the back post.
Yeah, coming from the outside in,
Yeah,
which is what I want.
He
Yes.
can play centrally and score those goals.
No.
I'd play Brennan there because he can get in behind much better.
Ange played in Scotland. He played a short Japanese fella as his number 9 for 2 years.
I'm aware of that.
He can play. This system can work. The system can work without a big guy up front.
Look, what we should
how is
do
this
is,
season's? Sorry, go on.
what we should do is get him some help up there. Richarlison obviously isn't fit for purpose. He isn't fit to get on the pitch.
Well, he
No
just
matter
isn't
what we
fit.
think about him, what we need to do when the time comes, we've got Lancashire, still a young kid. Maybe needs to go on loan if we can't get him enough games. What we need to do is, and this will be another chat for another day, Dave, we need to get Solanke some help, somebody who can come on and take his place who is almost as good as him. If not better, would be great.
Like Tony?
Well, Tony wouldn't run about like him, I don't think. He put himself.
What about how is this season's Brian Hill Valise going on loan at the moment? Anyone know?
He keeps his spot. He's starting every week. He's often subbed out in the 60 to 70 minute range. He's had a few good high profile goals. He's getting game time. That's the important thing. He's actually playing.
Fun fact: Giovanni Lo Celso is outscoring Solanke this season. So there you go.
Brian Hill's outscoring Solanke.
Solanke just doesn't get the chances. His work rate
He doesn't get the service.
No,
he doesn't get a
that
decent
service.
cross on his bonds. If he did, then he'd
not
score
just that,
more goals.
He was a box player last year for Bournemouth. He didn't score. I don't think he scored outside the area, but he was getting balls put in good areas for him. He doesn't get that at Spurs. He doesn't get as many chances.
I think
like
even
that
Scarlett might be outscoring Slanky, but that's not a problem. I mean, Slanky is a key addition to the top scoring team in the Premier League. There's not a problem with Slanky playing up there.
I love Solanke. He's fine with me.
So I don't know if you think this, Jack. There is absolutely, well, even though we're saying that nothing wrong with Solanke, nothing wrong with what he's doing, but it would be nice if we had. This don't even sound right. Me saying it. Not if we made more chances for him as well for the work rate he puts in.
Yeah,
that's what
Agreed.
I'd like to see.
Yeah,
we need another proper striker, a good to go striker, and we need a proper number 6. We need some cover for the fullbacks, a left centre back, and probably and another keeper, which leads us nicely on to.
Are we going to finish off with Big Vic, Jack? Because
I mean, I think we addressed the fact that Forster's going to play for the next several weeks, and there's really nothing that we can do. What I'm hoping, he played probably 45 minutes at least on a fractured foot.
Yeah.
Because I think they're saying that it happened in the collision when Romero shorted him on the header in the first half. So he played maybe I guess he played longer, like 60 minutes probably on a fractured. I mean, a fracture, depending on the nature of it, is not that big a deal. It just depends on where it is and the length.
6 weeks, mate. 4 to 6 weeks at least.
Ankle.
It depends. He's a goalkeeper, so if he were an outfield player, I'd say 6 to 8. But maybe he could get away with 4 to 6. It just
4 to
depends
6.
on how much was actually had to be done and how fast his bones heal. Really, I mean, that's just who knows. So, it's unfortunate because he was spectacular Saturday, of course.
One of his best games in the Spurs shirt.
I can't think he put a foot wrong.
He wasn't flapping. You know why he wasn't flapping? Because he had a proper centre half in front of him.
Well, you know what else? We defended 9 corners, 9. So I mean, they didn't get in the box and trying to ruffle them up either. But yeah.
But it's as if somebody said to him, "Fucking stay in your goal. Stop worrying about everything that's going on around you. Just control yourself. Control the area. Go for the ball. Stop with all the flapping around before it's there, pointing at the referee, pointing to everyone. Right. Fucking concentrate on what's happening in front of you."
Yeah.
And it's as if he's gone, "Oh, I'll give that a go," and it fucking worked. It's right though, isn't it? Usually you see him and you're like, "What is he doing?" He's
he's gone Højbjerg on us. Since Højbjerg's left, he's taken on the flappy hands role in the dressing room.
But look, we've got Fraser Forster now. I don't think we'll see Vicario till after Christmas.
No.
Is Forster a great keeper?
No.
He's all right. He's not great, is he? He's okay. But I'll tell you now, people will be saying about Whiteman and Austin, they're rubbish. They are shit. That's why they never play.
Aren't they about 30?
That's why nobody ever tries to take them on loan. Nobody's ever tried to buy them.
Cameron Carter-Vickers of the goalkeeping department.
So,
sorry, hang on. He's American, isn't he?
Yeah, it's okay. Quite all right.
They're putting squads for their homegrown quota or whatever we need. They're rubbish. Forster's going to play because he's better than the other two. And unfortunately, we've got nobody else. So we have got to put up with it until they can possibly buy someone in January or bring someone in January as that second goalkeeper. And I don't think they will.
I don't think we're bringing a goalkeeper in January.
No.
Nah, no way.
No way.
No.
I mean, unless Forster gets hurt.
Yeah.
With a long
I reckon we'll probably get a loan. Like we used to get those loanees are about 30. I mean, I know Forster is one as well, obviously.
Well,
the likes of, we get Jimmy Walker and some Dave Besson. And Besson come here as well. Who's an old duffer who's knocking around? What's that geezer? Scott Carson, who's collected every medal under the sun.
Well,
get Lev Yashin in for a game.
Wait, I have a suggestion for you. Wait. Listen. Just hear me out. Okay, just hear me out. There's a certain keeper whose season just ended this past weekend who's available, who's familiar with the club. Anyone know who that might be?
It's not
the bloke who moaned about getting a watch.
Huh?
Bloke who moaned about getting a watch before the Champions League final. Was that the bloke you're on about?
Yeah, that'd be the bloke I'm talking about. LAFC lost to Seattle. They were the number one.
Coming back now, mate. Now he's said. Now he's told Levy to stick his watch up his ass.
I'm just
I mean,
I wouldn't be against that, Jack.
I would. Pat Jennings
for a short-term deal, it don't matter. I mean, we got Vaughan back, didn't we, to play one game?
Yeah, there
he
you
was
go.
dreadful because I was at that match, and he was.
Where's Gazaniga these days?
Get him in for a game. I mean, he's got Gaza in his.
I mean, I'll tell you something about Gazaniga. Good-looking geezer, very good-looking geezer.
Yeah, him and Paul Gascoigne hang out. They go out drinking together.
The talk on social media, one thing I have just seen is, I don't know how accurate that is, the talk is 2 to 3 months for Vicario.
Right.
2 to 3 months?
Yeah, we need to get another keeper in.
January, they need to get someone. Let's be honest. If you've got your eye on a goalkeeper, if it's someone you're thinking is going to play second fiddle to Vicario, even if he's a young kid and he's going to be, and that's what his job's going to be, you may as well get him in January.
Sam Johnson, where's he these days? Where's Sam Johnson? Is he at West Brom or something?
They're not going to get Keller, are they? He plays a lot of games for Liverpool.
Well, no, because
I can't see Liverpool giving him to us. I reckon, Sam Johnson, Scott Carson. Who else is there?
Well, who's the kid who's at Rangers?
So,
He's an English goalkeeper. He's played.
What's that? Do you remember that goalkeeper who played for Coventry? And I think he went to Liverpool and he was injured loads. Chris Kirkland. Where's he these days?
I thought you were going to say Steven Grizovic. Anyway,
All right, this
So
is
hard.
devolving
Yeah, this is
into
going. Yeah,
a-
this is going into farce now. Come
no,
on.
yeah, we're
That's
not.
what-
getting
I'm
Yeah,
it.
sorry,
We're solving
you
all
did
the
bring me in
problems
at the
here.
last
For
minute.
4
What do you
hours
expect?
about
Yeah,
nonsense.
no, I'm not criticizing. I'm just
Yeah.
saying I promised I'd keep it to an hour because
Yeah.
Gibbo was so tired, but we've gone an hour and 15, so I think
I mean,
we'll
me
wrap
and
it up
Dave
there.
could talk for about 6 hours about
Oh,
nonsense.
Yes.
I've got to go into the city and have a coffee and smile at people. So yeah.
Well, I'll fly over. We can chat about that, mate.
Anyway, Jack,
Yes,
are we
Matt.
calling it a day there?
We are calling
Now
it a
it's
day.
descended it into literally naming every shit goalkeeper you can think of.
Paulo Cudicini, mate, get him back.
Carlo Cudicini. Anyway, I'm not getting involved in it. Come on, Jack, finish it off, mate. Come on.
All right, gentlemen. Well, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you letting me host and chat with you fellas wherever you might happen to be in this wide world we're in. Dave, I really appreciate you coming at the last minute. It's big help. Thank you so much. James,
Pleasure.
you always bring the side of the discussion to a place that I can never do. So I really appreciate that.
Cheers. I love being on the show. Like
Yeah,
to be on it
thanks.
as often as I can be. Thanks for having me. You were spectacular hosting tonight, Jack.
Thank you very much. And Gibbo, appreciate you organizing everything, get this thing up and running and out to the public so that we actually have an audience.
No, mate, thank you for doing it because you host. I hate hosting. I'm a crap host.
And
I'm not saying
everyone,
I'm a brilliant guest, but
I've
anyway,
never done
thank
it.
you
I
for
hate
doing
it.
it.
Well done, Jack.
everyone, look us up on socials. We're It's Tottenham on X. We are Lads It's Tottenham on Blue Sky and elsewhere. Give us a like, subscribe to the channel so that you're alerted when our shows come out if you enjoy it. And with that, I want to thank everyone, and let's just hope against all hope and history that we're not going to get a yo-yo experience on Thursday. We're going to get a solid performance and 3 points as the doctor has ordered. Whoops, wrong way. Nope. There we go. So let's get 3 points coming up here this weekend. All right. Thanks everyone for watching. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on,
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.